So let's begin. What's your net worth and how do you measure it? It's said that you can't measure what doesn't matter. And I'm sure some of you have grown up with your parents telling you to pay attention to where you're spending your money, what you're spending your money on, and maybe even your grandparents buzzing around in your ear, but you didn't want to hear that. Whenever you got some money in your hand, you ran off to spend it somewhere. And sometimes that's what we do as adults. And failure to notice your money means that somewhere along in life, you'll have issues. So simply, net worth is what you own. From that, you'll subtract what you owe. And here it is, your net worth. Now, it's a real simple formula. If you're somebody who doesn't like math, don't worry about it because this is not about math. This is about the numbers. We deal with numbers every day. When we look at a clock, when we look at a radio, maybe not sometimes, but people are on internet radio. But when we look at our computers or our laptops or our phones, the numbers are always there. Some of us like astrology. Some of us like numerology. We're always going to be around numbers. And I have heard one person say, let me know, I'll pay you if you can tell me that you don't deal with numbers every day. That was Lloyd Strayhorn that said that. But we deal with them all the time. And then we go into our pockets, we look at our coins, we pull our money out to pay for something, even our credit cards, still it boils down to money. So let's get started. Basically, we're looking at our assets, our cash on hand, our savings, our checking, our windfalls. Windfalls could be that susu that you belong to. It's, let's say your hand is coming up and you need to list that as money, as cash on hand. Also, your retirement accounts. If you were lucky to have more than one job, let's say you work 2 jobs for 20 years each, you might have a nice chunk of change. The same thing with a pension. If your jobs had pensions, I've known people who've gotten 3 pensions. Also, part of your assets are your investments, your stocks, bonds, and or crypto. The little thing called the 401k or the 403b or a Roth that you are putting money in through your job, you need to list that as well. And over time, those things grow. If you're somebody who's purchased real estate, either you might have bought a tiny house, those things would go under assets. Next is automobiles. If you have insurance policies, you want to know what the cash value is. You may have personal property such as decorative furniture, that's quite a bit. Jewelry, you may have collections like stamps or coins, rare coins. And then last but not least, fine art. All of those things would go in the asset column determined as what you own. And a little later, I will have you take a look at a net worth statement. Now let's talk about liabilities. The liabilities are the things that you owe, the money you owe to pay for all the sweetness that you have in life. Credit cards fall under that, real estate mortgages or other types of mortgages, auto loans, student loans. You may have a HELOC. If you own a home, you might have a home improvement loan. And lastly, taxes. And there's one thing I don't have on this sheet, and I'm going to call it support. You may be supporting people. Now, you can support them because they're family members, but sometimes when people think that you have a lot of money, they're going to lean on you. They're going to borrow money. Or if you lend money, those things will go in your liabilities column. And by the way, liabilities aren't a bad thing. And all of these numbers are here to basically keep us aware of what we're doing. So this is a simple net worth statement. You're listing on the left side all of your assets, your liquid assets, um, your houses, cars, all the things that I mentioned on that last sheet. And then on the right side are your liabilities. Now, you can do this every 3 months, every 6 months. I suggest starting every 3 months, particularly if you are investing money or if your money is changing. If it's going up, if it's going down, you find yourself paying more out, you find yourself investing more, you want to really take a close look at what is going on with your money. And by knowing that, nobody can tell you anything about your money. It's like knowing yourself. If you really know yourself, people can't just tell you anything about yourself. You want to have that same attitude with money. And you always want to make sure that your money is working for you. Now, this is a more detailed net worth statement. And the work that I've done with Journey to Wealth, which is guiding women through their net worth statement, like I said, the formula itself is simple. Sometimes we don't want to look at our money. We have lots of thoughts. Sometimes we have guilt. We have remorse for the purchases that we've bought, for the decisions that we've made. But just like if you owe a lot of money, just like you didn't get in debt in a month, you won't get out in a month. All of these processes take time. Even building wealth takes time. So looking at this net worth statement, this is Nurse Anne Marie's statement. So you can see her checking accounts. She's listed her banks, cash at home. Sometimes we like to keep cash under the mattress. So that's the cash at home. And then there's the windfall. She might have won the lottery. And as I mentioned, she may have also been in a susu, maybe even for two hands, because she works at a hospital and there's big money in those susus. And if you know what I'm talking about, then you know. So she's calculated her cash, moving on to retirement. As I said before, the cash surrender value of life insurance, expected pension, and I didn't put it in this sheet yet. She's got other investments that are crypto or real estate, and maybe she's even in an investment club. And then some more investments, a jewelry, her art collection, and her collectibles. Sometimes we start out buying these things because we like them. And over time, let's say you have a piece of art, over 20 years, it's appreciated. You want to get the value of that. Precious metals, apparently she was buying silver, maybe even gold. Seems that she's basically starting out on that track. But once again, these are all her assets. And then we move to liabilities. She's got mortgages, she's got credit card debt, auto loans, she's got that HELOC because she has property. And she also has a student loan that she's paying on. So she's after this, these categories are totaled up, and the remaining number is the net worth. So, like I said, looking at this sheet, it is every 3 months that she's collecting her net worth number. And as you can see, forwarding, she'll be doing the same in March. Now, basically, whether you owe money, whether you let me talk about owing for a second, because you might, and I'm gonna okay, all right. Actually, no, I'll stay right here. Because this is in the area of where do I stand? So let's say you find that you're in debt. Don't beat yourself up. As I said before, nothing has happened overnight, and nothing can be solved overnight. The primary purpose is to always know where you stand with your money. Let's say you are in debt. The goal then is to make a plan to get out of debt. You look at your income, you look where you can cut expenses, and you just shovel more money onto that debt. Because you, like everybody else, has goals. And by looking critically at your money, you'll know what to do. This is not about being in fear. We talk about mindset. So this is not about fear. This is about courage, and it's about knowledge. You are powerful when you know exactly where you are. What's my next move? What is your next move? Once again, if you're doing okay and your net worth is growing, what is it that you want? What are your goals? Do you want to increase your income every quarter? Can you set a plan for that? Can you look critically at the money that you have, the investments that you have, and maybe plan to move them 12% a year or even 20%? It will take some work, but you can get it done little by little, maybe dollar cost averaging. And then for those whose numbers are upside down, once again, little by little, because soon you will be able to begin investing because you're in this for the long haul. It's like a life investment. Nothing happens overnight. Um, Dr. Eve, do we have any questions in the chat?
Actually, there are no questions at this
Okay,
time.
all right. But I do have one question for our guests. Do you do your net worth statement? If so, how often? Have you done it once or twice and then decided it's not for you? It's too fearful? Put those answers in the chat. I can't see the chat, but Marie will be happy to give me the
Right, we do
information.
have, you mentioned DCA, dollar cost averaging. Can you explain?
Yes, dollar cost averaging is putting a set amount of money into either a savings, but usually it's not a savings. Usually, if you're buying stock, let's say you have a brokerage account, and you're buying stock in your for yourself or in your 401k, you'll put a set amount of money in monthly or quarterly, and over time that instrument will build. The stocks or the bonds or whatever you're putting money into will build. It's kind of like set it and forget it. You always want to know that you're growing.
And Adams mentioned temptation is the biggest
Come on,
creator,
Adam.
liability creator in the world. Amen to that.
Yes, yes. And I hear some chuckling in the background. Even if I don't hear it, I already know that people in the audience have temptations. One of my temptations is potato chips. So a long time ago, when I was starting to look at my money, I think even that time I was in debt. So I had to sit myself down. I had to cut the BS and like really take off the blinders, put my fear down and look at what was going on. So I started to track my money. Every day I put, and this was pencil and paper back then, I jotted down what I spent my money on. In 30 days, I had bought $100 worth of potato chips. And at that time, I had an Altoids habit, but $100 went into my mouth, let me say. I cut that out right away because that was $100 that I could pay on my debt. So, I mean, as I've grown up, I've had other things that have enticed me, clothing or jewelry. One of the great things about being in New York is that we can see a lot of artists every summer, other times of the year. They make fabulous things. That is a temptation. It hasn't been an addiction, but it has been a temptation. I'm sure that some of y'all out there know what I'm talking about. Adam, thank you for that comment.
And we have
This is great. This is so timely too, Sawadi, because and you hit it on the nose when you were talking about, debt doesn't have to define us. right? And knowing where we stand in relationship to our assets and liabilities, it actually gives us the power to create a strategy to reduce that very debt, and improve our financial health. And that's where the real power comes from, right? Taking action on the numbers that we uncover. And the moment we can face, our financial realities, we can start gaining control over our own decisions, and we'll be in the driver's seat, right? That'll put us in charge of our own financial destiny. So this is a
Exactly.
wonderful time to have this discussion. It's the beginning of the year. We could start on the driver's seat and continue to move on.
Exactly. So, Dr. Eve, I'm going to take that. What's my next move? We want to be in the driver's seat. We want to make
Mm-hmm.
sure that our money is working for us. I've heard people refer to money as soldiers. You want to send them out to make more money for you when they come back. Because either what's happening is your money's going out and you don't know what's going on, or your money is sitting and you still may not know what's going on. You just want to make sure
Mm.
that you're aware. You always want to be aware. The other thing, and I mentioned this before, but I talked about our mental health, but our well-being. If you need to cry because you've made a few mistakes, cry, but then wipe those tears and get the courage to look at your money. Everything that you
Yes.
placed your money in, hopefully it was something that you wanted. But now it's time to wake up and just fearlessly move on. Okay, let's see. Um, some of my resources have been the Journey to Wealth Boot Camp. It's where I got a second start in life in terms of dealing with my money, knowing what's going on with it, and beginning again to build. Let's see. I've got a few books here. Your Money or Your Life by Joe Dominguez, Vicki Robbins. It is not the easiest book to read, but it has you go deep in terms of the money you earn and what's going on with that money and your plan for your future. I don't know if anybody's heard of the FIRE movement, which is financial independence, retire early. So I'm way past that. But depending on when you start and how you take care of your money, you can retire early. And I find that this current generation, they are doing the damn thing. They are they're stacking their paper, like we used to say, because they have plans to not work for anybody for 40 years. And as we know, pensions can be a thing of the past, or basically are a thing of the past. And if you don't know what you're doing with your 401k, you'll come out with very little money. That let me just I want to just talk about that for one moment. Many people who are employed don't have a clue about their 401ks. I encourage people to just read as much as you can. You can invest in index funds or ETFs. You can start small. You don't even have to invest in stocks and bonds. You can even invest in crypto. Some 401k accounts will let you invest in crypto or maybe Roths, not all, but with this current administration, we may see even more changes. Another book that I would like to recommend is Heal Your Relationship with Money, that talks about your mindset. You go deep into your past about your money. What's your money story? What happened? Once again, you learn in this book not to blame yourself, not to take anything that's happened that is not, it may be upsetting to you, into your future. It's actually a workbook. There is a lot of every day, I think it's a 28-day book, and every day you have exercises. Then there's Sacred Success by Barbara Stanny. Her name is actually Barbara Houston now, but I think her books are still under Barbara Stanny. She has a number of books, and all of her books are good. So last thing is you can contact me at zawadi.disrupteddow@proton.me. And I do think that is my last slide, unless we have any questions. Okay,
I
I
know
don't hear any.
actually we have Dawnette shared thank you both so much, Zawadi and Dr. Eve. How do you come to terms with needing money now, but knowing that you have to play a slower, longer game? I imagine it's patience, but any strategies that you have seen, but any strategies that you have seen bring success?
So I'm going to ask her to come off mute. And let me also pay attention to time. I see we're close. Okay.
Right. We are at time.
Hi.
And go ahead. Thank you.
Hi.
So good to see you.
Same here.
Mm.
So you need money now, right?
Yeah,
You're
yes.
okay. So you're already working. You have a business, yes?
Yes.
Okay. Is there time in your life to take on any part-time work that's different from your business? One of the things that's big now is, oh great, I just forgot it. Remote work. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe where you don't have to go into an office, but you can work at home.
Yes.
The other thing is, as you're in the medical field, there may be something that you can do remotely in your field.
Yes. Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome. You have things in your house you could probably sell. Don't sell any family members though.
Well, listen, they know me. When I come through, I'm like, if y'all ain't put it away, that means you want me to sell it or convert it, donate it so we could take it off on our taxes. So
Okay, all
I'll let
right.
another run through, but thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. I see you're on the right track. So if that's it, and I just want to mention again,
Oh, I'm
please.
sorry. Adam has his hand up.
Okay, go ahead, Adam or
And do
Marie.
we have a link
Go
for
ahead.
Journey to Wealth? Because Donette, the boot camp is coming up and we would want to check that out, which will give
Okay,
you a lot of support and accountability.
all right. So does anybody in our room have the link for Journey to Wealth? And if not, when Dr. Eve comes back in, I will get it so we can put it in the chat.
So Adam,
Sure. Blessings, DAO group. Zawadi, this was a great conversation that needed to be had because I feel like it's very important that all of us, including myself, get out of this superficial mindset when it comes to money and wealth because whatever we spend our money on could be an asset or a liability, and certain companies know that. So it's very very important that we set budget, set goals, set anything to remind ourselves that we can you know set boundaries on how much we spend because I look at my statement like every month, and every time I look at my bank statement I see how much money I lose, and then I ask myself how much money am I getting back from the money that I spent. So it's all about me setting goals and setting boundaries and not get caught up on temptations because that's what society and certain companies want. That's why they sell to us like every day when it comes to the finest shoes, when it comes to clothes and jewelry. So thank you for this conversation, and I'm complete.
You're welcome. And I apologize if I was looking down because once again, I in the back of my mind, it's like I gotta find this link before we get off the phone. But you're right. And I will say this because for a long time I looked at my accounts, but in addition to looking at your accounts, you have to write stuff down on paper. You got to begin to just like it's a critical eye, and don't let yourself be paralyzed by what those numbers reveal.
okay, the link to the boot camp is there. For those of you new to the Journey to Wealth community, you will find that information right there, Donette. I think that you would really find it very helpful.
And I want to really big up JTW and Alicia Holmes because this is where like I said, I got my second start, but really got a passion for this whole category of net worth.